All right, so we are going live right now. It's not exactly at the top of the hour quite yet, but it will be in just a second. And well, we're live. We're absolutely live now with two of my buds, Leah and Dan Rowe. That's their picture up on screen with the lovely and talented CEO in training, Betty Pearl. And Leah and Dan have been on campus, if you will, since the very beginning because they were people that early on in my, I hate to use the word journey because it's overused, but on my journey to become a little bit more out there when it comes to networking and stuff like that, Leah is one of the very first people I met and has since become a very close friend, confidant, and bud. And, Dan I put up with because Leah's fun to be around. And here they are, Leah and Dan Rowe, who are in sunny Florida. So right now it's minus 26 Fahrenheit in Madison, Wisconsin. But down, where are you guys right now? Are you in Orlando?
No, we're in Naples.
Naples. Ooh, so even farther south on
Yep.
the Gulf Coast. How's the weather been down there?
It's been actually pretty rough. It's been cold in, the 60s.
Today we'll get to the 70s, so, we may have to wear a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time down in the Sarasota area working with an agency down there, and I tell you, it's true. February, when it's 60 and overcast and windy in Florida, is kind of like, why am I here?
Well, it's funny, we've seen so many people walking around in like big, huge fur coats, and it's like 65 out.
Well,
And we were supposed to fly home on Tuesday, and then the polar vortex, we were like, you know what? Southwest, no like change fees. Let's just stay a few more days. So we're gonna miss that polar vortex.
well, that's good for you, and especially since I was able to see your Instagram feed where you posted that series of photos of you and Dan, and then you and Dan and Betty Pearl at Disney World.
Oh yeah.
That just totally endears me to you guys as a couple because, yeah, you're not going to Swanky Swank, New York. You're going to the Mouse Land, putting on the ears and having a blast, and I love that.
Any chance we get where we can sport our matching Disney fanny packs is a good day for us.
Well, that's a win for sure. Well, we're here to talk about Leah and Dan, or introduce Leah and Dan to the larger nonfiction brandversity community because they have been active from just about the very beginning. And I want you guys to know, Leah and Dan, especially their exciting new thing that they're doing called Roe and Co. I'm going to allow you to describe exactly what that is, but just let me say that, especially Mandy Klepfer's already online. Hi, Mandy. Mandy's a CPA, so she'll understand where you guys are coming from because Leah and Dan are both recovering CPAs. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely describe myself as a recovering CPA, and I am so grateful for the journey that I've had. And I'm so grateful that, I decided to go into accounting and become a CPA because that really started I don't know, like everything happens for a reason. And, Dan and I met at the public accounting firm that we started at after college, and alphabetically we got sat next to each other. And so that's kind of how our love story began. So I'm very grateful for my time as a CPA, but what I'm really grateful about was I learned really quickly how much I hated it. And sometimes you have to learn what you like to do and what you're passionate about, but at the same time, it's sometimes even more helpful to learn what you're not passionate about and what things are not meant for you to kind of redirect your course and put you on the path that you're meant to be on. So that's why I say I'm a recovering CPA. I'm really good at finance and accounting. It's my zone of excellence, but it is not my zone of genius for sure. So.
Well, Mandy in the comments is actually clarifying that she's not a CPA yet, but
okay.
Evidently she's working on that. So you guys might want to hook up a little bit and have a little Q&A session or something like that. And that's one of the things NonFiction Brandversity is about. It's about making connections that can help everybody involved elevate their game when it comes to building their personal capabilities, their personal brands, their businesses, and sometimes it's a shoulder to cry on, or a kick in the butt, or a pat on the back. Guess what? That's what nonfiction brandversity is all about. And having people like Leah and Dan on campus is an incredible opportunity for anybody, because you guys with Roe and Co are starting a business consultancy, but it's not just a accounting related business consultancy, right? There's a lot more to it.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely.
What areas are you really focusing on when it comes to that kind of nebulous cloud called business consultancy?
Yeah, it's funny because Dan and I, in our careers, we like to say that we've never been good at following job descriptions. Like, people have hired us to do something, and we're like, fantastic, we'll do that. But now it's only Tuesday, so I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And so we've helped so many businesses grow and be successful by kind of doing a lot in different areas. And so to really like bring it together and hone in on what we were going to do for Roe and Co, we decided on the areas that we're super passionate about. And that is revenue strategy, operational efficiency, people, and culture. So revenue strategy, how do you get more money in the door? How do you spend less of it? At the end of the day, you need to have cash in order to run your business. Operational efficiency, because we are just humongous nerds when it comes to how to make things faster, better, stronger, automation. And then people and culture. At the end of the day, if you don't take care of your people, if you're not intentional about building a great culture, I just don't believe in that kind of business. So that's what, and I'll let Dan talk too. I tend to kind of
yeah. Leah's really good at explaining it, but Roe and Co is it's a genesis of our years in Chicago, our years in Madison, and helping companies and seeing that there was just this little void. Everyone can get their taxes done, everyone can do all these other things with accountants, but they really couldn't get like a true confidant. I like what you said, DP, about Brandversity being this network, because that's kind of what we are too. Like, we're very clear that we don't know everything, but we can find you someone who does, and that's just, if these companies we work with they're all serious about growing and being bigger and better and helping people, and we just want to help them get there.
Yeah. And our mission, we say we want to help good people who are doing good in the world do more of it and do it better. And we really, we believe so much in the ripple effect. And so that's, when we started this business and started our own company, we decided, it's a non-negotiable for us. We're only going to work with good people who we get excited to work with every day.
And I just want to take us off track for a second, because Uncle Dan LaCloche, it has to be Dan LaCloche, his little profile picture didn't show up for some reason, but he is asking a humorous question. Where do homeless accountants live? And the answer is in a tax shelter. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. He'll be here all week. Enjoy the veal.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting the areas you've picked, because obviously they're including some of your professional capabilities, but also some real personal passions. I know, Leah, culture community, that's how we met. You were in a job where you had to focus on culture as an HR-oriented professional, and there were no groups that existed in Madison, Wisconsin, where we both are physically located. Yeah. And so what does a girl do when that doesn't exist? You start a group. And that's one of the really things that I love about you, Leah, is that your dynamism, your drive and dynamism. But it's not this type A drive. It's this type heart drive. It's this love drive. Is this a love? Is this a Taylor Swift heart? It's that type of drive, which is I'm the word passion is way overused in business, but I would say you're passionate about community and connection and things like that.
Absolutely. I'm extremely passionate about community, and I'm also, so when I started the last job I was at, and they told me, can you do people ops? And I had no idea what that meant. And so I was like, of course I can do that. I'm new at a job. I'm not going to say no. And I went and Googled, what is people ops? And I learned that it's HR, but it's so much more than that. It is, talent development. It's recruitment strategy. And then I learned about this thing called culture. And I had always been passionate about culture, but I'd never had the word to go with it. And so I just became totally obsessed with this whole idea of company culture and being intentional in building it. And I also am the first person to, I don't know everything. And so that was really a driving force of starting Culture Community was I don't know what I don't know. And I want to connect with people. I want to hear what other people are doing. Like, let's learn from each other. Let's share. I don't know. It's this drive I have within me to connect with other people and to build community wherever I'm at.
Well, and it's apparent in everything you do because, as I say, I was so fortunate to run into you early on in my networking journey because plugging into you is like plugging into a switchboard to any possible telephone in the entire universe, and that's been a wonderful thing for me. I do want to touch on maybe a little bit of a tricky topic, and that is Roe and Co.'s been in the works for a long time. We talked about this, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago or something like this. So it's been bubbling on the back burner for a long, long time. That back burner got shoved right to the front burner because of a great illustration of what I think is why personal branding is truly necessary. Long story short, Leah, on maternity leave, is let go from her position at the company at which she worked.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's like nightmare scenario. But I'm here to tell you that from my perspective, you built a personal brand in advance of that situation that enables you to, gives you a foundation on which to build the edifice that will be Roe and Co. seamlessly. And no one's ever going to ask what happened at the old company because they're more excited about your new gig.
Well, I think, yes. So, there was layoffs at the company that I was at. And so, I always like to preface it with that because I don't want people to think I was bad at my job.
Well, no one who knows you would ever think that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But, it was really interesting because I had to really quickly step into walking the talk that I had done for several years with a lot of the people that I work with. I'm also a life and business coach, so a lot of the clients that I had worked with. And that was, I really truly believe in building community and networking and getting to know people on a personal basis, not with no agenda, just to connect with people and to help them selflessly. And so I had been doing that over the years. I've built an amazing community and an amazing network in Madison just because I love to do that, just because I love to connect with people with no agenda. But then it was really interesting because when that happened, and Dan and I had this dream of Roe and Co, and we're like, okay, it's time. Like, the universe is giving us a sign. It's time to do this. We had talked about it. We had built so much equity in our community without trying to do that over the years that it was like, we had this amazing platform already that it was like really easy to just like end that chapter and start this new one and have so much support. And clients showed up on day one because they had gotten to know me over the years. They'd gotten to know Dan over the years. They trusted us. And so it's really, I always tell my clients that I coach on networking and those areas, people need to get to know you and trust you and like you. So it doesn't matter what you're selling. They want to do business with you. And so that's kind of how it was. People wanted to do business with me before when I was at my old position, and they want to do business with me now because I'm the same person, just in a different company and selling a different thing.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. And I'll take your example writ large and write it a whole lot smaller to give an example that I see frequently, which is, I'm active on LinkedIn. A lot of people are. And occasionally I'll get a connection request. And I'm open to that. If you're going to go through the trouble of figuring out how to connect to me, that's cool. But the second you say, hey, thanks for the connection, I want to tell you about what I do and services and all the blah, 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 I instantly unfollow because you're connecting to me for the wrong reason. You're connecting to me as a potential transaction when I want to be connected only to long-term relationships or relationships of a certain length. You know, I don't expect to be married to anybody simply by connecting to them on LinkedIn, but I do want to build a relationship. And I've always been, as a marketer, interested in the relationship build, not the transaction sale. Because here's the thing. You build a lifetime relationship, you have a lifelong opportunity for multiple transactions for services, for products, for whatever you need. But it starts by building that relationship. And I want to applaud the work you've done to lay that groundwork to enable you to now ask of people for specific help in areas in which they may be expert that you could use in developing your company. But not only that, to build the tribe or the flock that you're flying with. And we've actually talked about this, where my whole thing about fly in the flock you want to fly in is there are people who fly at this level, this level, this level, and this level. I want to be up here, even though I may be flying down here. So that doesn't mean I'm not going to connect to birds at this level or this level, but I'm actually trying to build a relationship with the people in the top flock. And because you've already done that, I know you're talking to people who are really the best at what they do, about what they do and how it could potentially either A, help Roe and Co. get up and running, or B, be in loose alliance with Roe and Co. so that if you have a client that needs said services, you can, with an open heart and a smile on your face, recommend these people knowing they're going to do the job the right way that reflects your values and the propositions that you propose to your clients about quality, responsiveness, customer service, everything else.
Absolutely.
Well, so what type of company would be right to talk to Roe and Co? Because again, you're talking to the NonFiction Brandversity campus here. We all have connections, some of whom might be looking for the services you guys offer. Can you paint a picture for who the perfect person or business might be?
Sure.
Yeah, so
I'll let Dan talk.
Leah and I, we love to do like exercises and, personas of who our ideal client is. And, first we did the traditional thing. We started like industry, like, maybe it's only tech, maybe it's not restaurants. And like, it just didn't feel right to put that, to fill that part out. Mm-hmm. So we kind of really landed on, really anyone who has a business that they just know that it could be bigger and better than it is today. And
growth mindset. We really want to work with companies that want to grow.
Or thrive. And there's just, they have something great, but they just don't know how to get to that next level. And it is hard. Having 5 people is, not that it's easy, but it's easier than having 20. And to get from 5 to 20 is pretty difficult. There's a lot of things that you're able to punt on or didn't have to do before that now are integral. And that's really our sweet spot, is helping them talk through those changes.
And I think what's interesting too is, we started this business, we thought for sure everyone's going to come to us for revenue strategy because revenue is super sexy. Everyone wants more of it. And so that's what people are going to come to us for. We're CPAs. Although we did take CPA off of all of our stuff because a lot of people over the years have been like, oh, you're a CPA. Can you do my taxes? I've never done taxes. Can't do it. A lot of different types of CPAs out there. But so we thought everyone would come for revenue strategy. Actually been the opposite. Everyone is coming to us for help with people and culture and building out their people and culture function, which is incredible for us because that's our dream work. Like that's the work that we want to do. So it's really been interesting with many of our clients now. We are actually positioned as their outsourced head of people and culture. And so we are running those functions for them. We also do a lot of work with communications coaching. So the way that you communicate to your team and to your staff, the language that you use, the way in which you do it, it can either empower and rally the troops, or it can shut everyone down and everyone can disengage. And so we do a ton of work with CEOs on their communication and also just on their vision, and really getting clear on what their vision is and how they communicate that to their staff and how they really empower their people to all get aligned and work towards that greater vision. So we started thinking we'd do a bunch of revenue stuff, and we're doing tons of people and culture, and that's what we want to do.
Well, that's really cool. And in fact, you just answered the question that's up on screen. What is your hottest service right now? What are your current clients looking for? And I think you answered it very well. So this really is surprising to you that when you were kind of gaming this out, did you think, well, revenue will be a third, people will be a third, and operations will be a third or something like that, and all of a sudden you're saying, no, it's more like 25, 25, 50.
I thought revenue was going to be 70%, and I was like, okay, Dan, once we get in and we like work on their revenue, then I'm going to assess all the areas in which they need help in people and culture, and then I'll pitch it to them. Like that was always the plan, is like we get in and then we like expand our services. So it's kind of insane that like people and culture is all that I want to do. So the fact that it's like, you know, in a way it's like I didn't allow myself to dream that big. I didn't allow myself to even think that all the stuff that I want to do is actually what people need. And it's interesting because if you look on the coasts, East Coast and West Coast, they are all hiring for head of people and culture, director of people and culture. Like this is a thing. It hasn't necessarily gotten super popular in the Midwest, but that was the role I was in at my last job. So I've done this work. And so this idea of an outsourced head of people and culture is actually something that the Midwest, the Madison, Chicago, the markets need right now. So it's pretty exciting.
We have another question from the stream. Is it easier to work on culture if the business is smaller?
I mean, it's different. Like we have one client who it's just two co-founders. And so it's really fun because we are building culture from the ground up, which is exciting. And I guess it's easier in a way, but we also have clients who have 50 people or more and are going through some challenges and some cultural change. And that work, I really enjoy that work because it is more of this, you know, problem solving, culture evolving, like let's try this, let's see how this works. It's a lot more innovation at that level. So I think
the big difference is with the two people, they can they haven't made any mistakes and they can build what they want, but we're explaining to them, you know, kind of how your actions will be perceived by these new employees.
Mm-hmm.
The 50 people companies, we kind of have to unwind and kind of do a post-mortem. Okay, like this is where you're at. Like what actions have you done in the past that maybe got you here, and how would you fix that going forward?
I think that's a good point. Is, you know, with our co-founder company, a lot of it is like theory for them because we're saying this is what we've seen, but they haven't lived it yet. Whereas our other companies that were working through some of the issues, they're like, yes, that's exactly what happened. Okay, this is how, you know, so it's a lot more resonant almost for them.
Right. It's the difference between theory and practicum. Theory, there's an old saying and an old Prussian military strategist said about battle plans, and something like no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. Well, that's true of any business. You can be as theoretical as you want to be, but until you hit the marketplace, you don't know what's going to happen. And in fact, the marketplace will guide you to where you need to be. You know, the old Wayne Gretzky skate to where the puck is going to be. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, in theory, that's a great idea. But the reality is the market will show you where you need to be. And in this case, it sounds like it's showing you that where it wants you to be is where you want to be.
Yeah, and I think, that's a good question. I don't know about easier, but I will say also the more people that are coming to us are the people that have culture issues that need help working through. Because I think that it's, again, if you're just starting a company, it might not be something that you're necessarily thinking about, but you should be. You know, so it's like, how do we communicate to that end of the market of like, this is something that, you know, when you start your company, you need an accountant, you need sales and marketing, you also need people and culture.
Yeah, bottom line, it's an expense. You know, it's expense and it's time. So at the beginning, you don't have all the money or all the time in the world. But when you get a little bigger, you realize like people are expensive. You know, when people leave, it's a big problem. These people are the touch points to our customers, you know, and then that's why we see it more when the company's a little bigger, because then they have to rein it back in.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to get burned to like realize what you really need.
Well, and our stream is informing me that the Prussian military commander that gave that quote was Helmuth von Moltke, who I believe was a World War I or pre-World War I commander of the Wehrmacht. Ausgezeichnet, mein Freund. At any rate, we're talking to Leah and Dan Roe of Roe and Co. and really active nonfiction branders at NonFiction Brandversity. So I really love to see that. How much time do you guys have? Because you're down in Florida. You probably got some stuff planned today. Typically, we wrap this thing up around half an hour in, but sometimes we bleed over a little bit longer. Do you guys have a hard window?
Nope, we can bleed over a little bit. That's fine.
Okay, great. So, Dan, what do you specifically do within Roe and Co?
Not much. I'm just kidding.
So Leah and I are great complements of each other. Like I do, I am a CPA. I do like more of the finance and numbers. I do taxes, but I also like the operational side of the business, like the nuts and bolts. Like I do all the tech, I do the website, I do the accounting, like just to keep things moving internally. Leah does more of like the business development, which I've had multiple conversations with her to like stop business developing. We're only two people, we can only do so much work. But then our work-life balance is really important to Leah and I. So we have to create our own templates and our own, way we work with clients and hoping we can scale it internally. So I help kind of do the process and procedures and, we promise someone something by this date. Like, how are we going to get it done? How do we know that it's correct?
I do a lot of talking and what if that, this, what if this. Dan actually takes all that and execute. Like he makes it all happen. So if we weren't together on this business venture, I would do a whole bunch of talking and nothing would actually get done. And if Dan were by himself, you'd do a whole bunch of doing, but I don't know what you'd be doing.
Yeah, I like to brand things and, they really have no content. Leah puts all the content in them.
Yeah.
Well, that's great because you need to have both the person who grounds the balloon and the balloon that's able to flow and go with where the breezes are taking you and also keep you reacting to the marketplace, because there are a lot of people who get things done and then the market changes and they're screwed because they haven't been in the market really feeling the temperature, the trends, things like that. And as you say, people, it's a huge topic for a lot of companies. Again, I want to help people zero in a little bit on the best type of company. So you're talking about companies that need to have a growth mindset.
Yep.
Can you handle a one-person company? Can you handle a 10-person company? Can you handle a 100-person company? Can you handle a 1,000-person company?
Ideally, we like to work with companies that have 100 people or less because we really like to work side by side with the CEO. And we really see that as important in the work that we're doing. And also we've worked in big companies, but we don't love that. We love the small, mid-sized businesses that can move fast and are not afraid of trying new things. And also we really want to we only work with people who are open to feedback, both themselves as the leader of a company. They gain feedback from their employees or want to. And they also do not think that they know everything. We have no desire to work with business leaders who don't understand why their people all suck because everything they're doing is perfect for the company. And it's obviously their people that are the problem.
Yeah.
But industry-wise, we work with all different industries.
We do, yeah.
Dan LeCloche asks, is there a cultural silver bullet we can fire off today?
A cultural silver bullet.
What about the feedback loop? I love the feedback loop.
Yeah, you can talk about that.
So I don't know if there's probably a better answer than this, but I think it's really important where companies, when they need to gauge how everyone in the company is feeling about things and not just throw stuff under the rug. And if you ask people for like, hey, how things are going or what we do better, and they give you an answer, like, you're pretty much obligated at that point to then respond. Then the next time you ask, they'll keep giving you answers, and that's how you create this open knowledge base of how things are going. But some companies just, someone at the top is making demands and,
or they're asking how people are doing, how people are feeling, what needs to be changed, and then they're collecting all that information, but they're not doing anything. You have to act on it, and you have to say, we are making this change because we hear you. This was not my idea. This was your idea. It's a fantastic idea. We're making this change so that you're reinforcing that feedback loop. I would think the other silver bullet I will say is, I define culture as a company's values and beliefs manifested in the behavior of every single person at the organization. And I love when Dan gives this example of you're a CEO, if you're a business leader, if you're anyone in the company and you walk past a piece of garbage on the ground and you don't pick it up, you have just shown through your actions, that you don't really care. So it's like, we love those companies where the CEO will go out and if he passes a piece of garbage, he picks it up and he puts it in the garbage can without making a spectacle of it. It's all in your behavior. So to build culture, it's all in how you behave. It's in your actions. So really be focused on that because people are watching at every stage. And so to be a true leader and to build great culture at your company, it's all through your actions.
Well, this is a story that comes from my family's background. My wife's father was the president of a company, and it was a larger company, probably, I'm going to guess, in the 250 employee size. They had a big parking lot, slots for everybody. He parked at the farthest slot from the door every single day. Now, he parked there in a Porsche 911, but he also walked the farthest to the door, which was a great demonstration of you work hard, you can drive whatever you want, and you can get to the place where you can afford this car by serving the people who work for that company. And that's just one of those little things that people can do that make people go, oh, that's cool. Maybe I should react appropriately.
I think another silver bullet, and I want to give this plug because honestly, DP, this is something that Dan and I say to each other at least once a day and has been instrumental in building our business, is your quote of know who you are so you can be it. Yeah. We literally have we've built Roe and Co on that. Like we'll say to each other every day, like, know who you are so you can be it. Is this who we are? Is this aligned with our values and who we want to be? Nope. Let's not do it.
I'm telling you, when you think about that and allow that to become kind of something that's tattooed on your forearm, that becomes a great prism through which to look things. And by the way, I don't want to go way off topic here, but I will say that there's now merch available online at Amazon. In this one, it's a T-shirt that says "Keep the Social in Social Media," NonFiction Brandversity down here. But there is also, you can go online, just search NonFiction Brandversity on Amazon, and you will see that there is a design for know who you are so you can be it on a T-shirt. So
I thought you were about to get really weird and you were going to not have a shirt on underneath that or something.
Well, that's a different live stream. It goes on later at night.
For example, this week we knew that we were not people who wanted to be in a polar vortex. We're not going to people. We'll stay in Florida.
Well, and the fact is that that's one of the big benefits of doing your own company, and that is you can make that type of change on the fly and not have to go through a committee or anything like that. So it's part of your culture to deal with the realities of life. The weather sucks in Wisconsin. Make the change. Let's hang out here for another couple of days or something. And boom, you can do it. There's another question from our feed here. It says, I know a smaller business locally that is growing leaps and bounds despite themselves. Severe growing pains, stretch marks, question mark, and employee dissatisfaction. Do you like to tackle this type of challenge? Question mark.
I guess it depends. Do the business leaders know that there's employee dissatisfaction and do they want to do something about it? Because there are some business leaders that don't give a crap if their employees are unhappy. And there are businesses that are successful with that mentality. And that's just not who we work with, and we don't believe in that kind of business. So if the business owners see an issue and they want help and they want to do something about it and they want to take care of their people and they want to build a great culture, then absolutely, that would be something we would want to do.
I just want to point out that is such an interesting answer to the question, because any other company would say, of course, that's exactly what we do. And based on what you're saying, that is exactly what you do. But that's if they don't have that growth mindset, if they don't recognize the problem, if they don't embrace the need for a solution, you're saying we aren't going to go after them because we won't be satisfied. They won't be satisfied. And frankly, a bad engagement like that could kill your business because sometimes you got to be picky about the customers you choose to do business with.
The thing is, there is so much content out there, so many people who are producing great content on why you should believe in your people and culture function. That's not our job. We're not here to prove to you why. We're here to help you once you've made that realization and you're like, I want to do this, but I don't know how and I need help. That's where we come in and we help. But we're not here to prove to, these people that think that we should all just get back to not caring about our people and just working them to the bone. Like, we're not here to prove to those people why it's important.
Well, Malia Moskov asked the question, and she clarified that the leader is intimidated by the strength/passion in his employees. Does that sound familiar? I mean, let's just assume that this guy recognizes it, wants to do something about it. Is that the type of thing you might be able to work with them to handle?
Yeah, I would love to have a conversation with that leader because honestly, he or she is intimidated by the strength and passion. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Ooh.
Well, in other words, a lot of companies are like that, which is the owner of the company says, hey, I'm supposed to be the one in charge of everything. You guys aren't supposed to be as excited as I am, or you may be showing talents in areas I don't have, and that intimidates me. Or, it's that old, does the leader have to have all the reins on all the horses? Or can the leader lead the herd of horses in the same direction?
Yeah, it needs to lead the herd. I would almost, honestly, the first thing that I would do in that situation is talk with that business owner and as opposed to putting on my Roe and Co consultant hat, I would put on my Leah Rowe life and business coaching hat and do some real work with this person on what's behind those feelings. What values do you have that you feel like are not being honored, in that situation that you feel intimidated by your staff.
Yeah.
Cause I do love the, hire good people and get out of their way. So yeah, that's a really interesting one. I would love to have a conversation with that.
Yeah.
She goes on to clarify he's great at the part he does, but is not a big picture thinking, or I believe that probably meant is not a big picture thinker. So again, well,
DB, there's also the adage. I love that, with growing companies, the person who gets them from say 0 to 100 employees is not the same person that's going to get them to 1,000 employees, because people just have different skill sets, different CEOs and leaders and owners. And, I don't want to displace anyone from their job or anything like that, but it is, there are different skill sets needed to be a leader of different size companies. And, I see it all the time. It's just interesting.
Well, it looks like you got a lead because Malia says, okay, I will send him your info. So
amazing. Yeah.
What would that info be? How could Malia, is there an email address that Malia can give to this person?
Yes. Leah, Leah at roeandcompany.com.
Yep. roeandcompany.com.
Yep.
Yep.
Wonderful.
And the website is roeandcompany.com. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
And no Squarespace.
Do you have a website at this point? Asks Dan LaCloche.
Yes, roeandcompany.com. And if you Google Roe and Co, feel free. We're not up in the SEO yet, but you will see some really awesome Irish whiskey that came out last year, and it is amazing. I've messaged them on Instagram. I'm like, when are you distributing in the U.S.? We want this for our client gifts because it's an awesome bottle of whiskey.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, and that is part of your brand as well, because I've been to your house, and a good single malt or something like that is absolutely in your wheelhouse or in your bar room.
With canters in every room. It's kind of obnoxious, but also amazing.
Okay, we're at 8:38. Does anybody have any more questions for the lovely and talented Leah and Dan Rowe before we go? The other thing I will say is that I had a recording session last night with Kate Toon, our friend from Sydney, Australia. I coined a term for her that she loves. She's the Queen Kookaburra of copy from Sydney, Australia. And we always hit it off great, but she has a couple of free Facebook groups, one called I Love SEO with Kate Toon. Anybody from NonFiction Brandversity, go over there, join the group. It's just really a clearinghouse of people who are interested in search engine optimization. And then she has another one, which I can't remember what it's called, but these free groups, join them. she said she told her group to join NonFiction Brandversity, and boom, I think we have probably 15 new Australian members as of last night, and more coming. So please, if you see them around campus, say hi, and let's make this a vibrant campus of people sharing ideas and everything else.
Australia is very near and dear to our hearts. Dan actually studied abroad in Sydney in college, and then we went back there. Gosh, we were dating maybe like a year.
Yeah.
Or no, were we married? I have no idea. Whatever. We went back.
Yeah, good place.
Well, and just to rub it in, I was talking to Kate, and whenever I talk to anybody from not around here, I ask them what the temperature is or what the weather's like. Well, in Sydney, it's summer, and she was complaining because it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and I was like, are you kidding me?
We went there in August, like in the middle of their winter, and we went to a Sydney Roosters rugby game, and there was nobody in the stands because it was like the coldest day in Sydney, and it was 55.
Oh, my gosh.
Still.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we've been talking with Leah and Dan Roe of Roe and Co. I'm DP Knudten, your charming host and wearer of merch.
I really like that. That's awesome.
Well, and there are actually a couple of different designs and a few more coming up. So if you're at all interested, go to Amazon. It's Primeable. So anyone with a Prime account, $20 gets you a pretty cool shirt. And these are premium T-shirts, not just the crappy ones. Go to town. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. Have a great time in Florida. I look forward to seeing you back in the frigid north real soon. And thank you so much for being on the very first Look Who's on Campus. It's Leah and Dan Roe with special non-cameo by Betty Pearl, who must be asleep.
We hear her. She's with her grandma and grandpa. We hear her talking nonstop out there. So she's got a lot of opinions.
Well, when you guys get back to town, we got to go get some coffee or something warm.
For sure.
Absolutely. Thanks,
all right.
Steve.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody on NonFiction Brandversity. And please check out NonFiction Brandversity on a daily basis, because let's get this party started. Let's get it started. Yeah, Black Eyed Peas for you. Coming at you in the morning. I'm DP Knudten for the NonFiction Brandversity. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.